It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 25th of December, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Christian believers across the country today are celebrating Christmas, a day marked by the symbolism of peace and solidarity amongst all believers. This year's Christmas festival has found many Albanians in less than optimal social and economic conditions because of the November 25th earthquake. But the symbol of feast, the continuation of the circle of life, lives on. Do not search in luxury places. Do not think you are going to see it surrounded by powerful and wealthy people. On the contrary, you'll find it in extreme poverty. At midnight Mass at St. Paul's Church in Tirana, Archbishop George Frendo, in his address towards the Catholic believers, gave a message for all those who seek to become wealthy on the back of those who are in need from this recent earthquake. I felt very disappointed when I heard that some people are abusing others affected by this disaster. People are increasing rents while people in the middle of this disaster are simply searching for a place of shelter. President Meta and his wife Monika Krimadi celebrated the Christmas church Mass at the cathedral. Archbishop Anastasios Yanolatos held the Mass on 20th of December's morning at the Resurrection of Christ Church in the capital for Orthodox believers. Yanolatos wished peace and love among the believers. Since the early hours of the morning, believers filled the churches across the country to celebrate the birth of Jesus. They performed religious rites and wished for harmony and happiness for Albanian families in the country and around the world. After the Holy Masses, Christmas celebration continues in household with the family according to tradition. Many people filled churches and cathedrals all around the country this Christmas, despite the November 25th earthquake. Clerics' messages towards authorities were powerful. The Bishop of Leja said that the earthquake exposed poverty and the corruption, while the Archbishop of Shkodra highlighted the sentiment that Albanians are losing their hope, stressing that action is required. The consequences of November's earthquake is still present, and the residents of most damaged areas are in desperate search and hope of tranquility in church. The Cathedral of Leja, in one of the most damaged regions, didn't have enough space for everyone in the midnight Mass. Before thousands of believers, Catholic clerics on the night of Christmas Eve lashed at state authorities. Leja's bishop was particularly harsh, who said that the earthquake exposed the poverty and corruption in Albania. It's the duty of men, particularly the ones who have public responsibilities, to take care of these tasks. These words have a special weight, especially after what happened due to the earthquake, which brought death and disaster. An earthquake which has exposed the real Albania of poverty and corruption wouldn't have happened if the collapsed buildings would have been built with proper security parameters. Here prevails personal interest, corruption, and illegal behavior which risks the lives of people. I hope this Christmas helps awaken Albania's consciousness and, above all, everyone else who causes disasters to ask for forgiveness, since they are corrupted and do not care about the people's well-being. For the Archbishop of Shkodër Pult Diocese, Lord Angelo Masafra, is adamant that most of the Albanians have lost their hope and are leaving the country. I am convinced that most Albanians have lost their hope. Many are abandoning Albania with anger and spite towards their homeland. Being one with the society's sufferings, from violence and family to corruption, the Catholic Church requires the engagement of everyone to fight these negative events and to return to hope. To those who have greater responsibilities, more work is required from you. Thousands of believers all around the country filled the Catholic churches and the Orthodox ones in the midnight until the first hours of the morning. From there, they wished and prayed for better days and happiness. Many Christian believers in Kosovo are celebrating Christmas, being one of their most important holidays of the Christian calendar. The Central Christian Mass was held in the early hours of Wednesday at Pristina's St. Mother Teresa Cathedral, where messages of peace and unity were conveyed. The Bishop of Kosovo, Dod Gjergji, called on believers at the Christmas Mass to do good deeds and keep the love of God alive. If we reach this level of faith, this space of love, and this opportunity for sanctification, then we would all be holier and our lives would be completely different, and our society would be much better off. We would have to not worry about people spending winters homeless. We would not have to have so many conflicts and disagreements with one another, nor between those who hold public responsibility or political power. Likewise, we would not see the people's destiny endangered and the will of the citizens being hampered by dragging out the dialogue, but we would already have state institutions and see them working together and sharing responsibilities for a better living and a better future of the country, said Dod Gjergji. The Bishop of Kosovo said that for a better life, those with responsibility should cooperate and share this weight together. An employee for the Guard of the Republic has been declared wanted by police when shots were fired in the capital after he allegedly shot a man carrying stolen items. The 35-year-old man, Mariglen Hojalari, is expected to have injured the citizen Ismet Lesho by hitting him, who is now in serious condition. The event was recorded by security cameras that have been able to identify the guard. The fight between the guard and Lesho took place on Tuesday at a bar in Tirana. Hojalari, along with two other unidentified people, had an argument with Lesho, and the conflict escalated until the guard pulled out a gun and shot Lesho. The injured Lesho was taken to the trauma hospital as a result of serious injuries. According to the police who investigated the incident, people who were present at the time of the altercation were questioned and commented that it occurred over minor issues between the two. Materials for the incident were referred to the Tirana prosecutor's office, while the 35-year-old is suspended for the crime of attempted homicide. Residents of the villages of Longo and Koszowica in Dropul municipality have been isolated and are forced to travel a few kilometers on foot to reach the services they need. The bridge connecting the villages collapsed 2 years ago, and recent rainfalls have also disrupted the provisional crossing they had built on the river. This bridge connecting the two villages of Longo and Koszowica in Dropul municipality collapsed in 2017. In isolated conditions, the 400 villagers bound the two sides of the bridge by placing these concrete blocks in the middle of the river. This extreme solution worked for nearly 2 years, but in the last few days of heavy rains, the concrete blocks were completely washed away. The bridge has been damaged for about 3 years, and it has not been repaired. We provisionally put some elements to make a temporary bridge, but the heavy rain destroyed them, and now the villages are blocked. Residents remain isolated and are forced to walk several kilometers to get food in the neighboring village of Sotir. Even for a few months, movement for residents will be difficult. The project has been passed by the municipal council, and by the new year will begin the reconstruction of the old bridge. But Dropul municipality says a final solution will be given next year when the bridge is rebuilt. Heavy rains and floods have damaged several bridges in the minority municipality of Dropul, where hundreds of families are at risk from their extreme isolation.